Yeah, I should add myself to the stream. Let me see how that works, by the way. Um, okay, cool. For now, I can just do it this way or that way. Whatever. Whatevs. Yeah, so I don't think I have a sufficiently strong handle on how the whole Ori thing works, which is a bit frustrating. So, okay, cool. I heard something. Yeah, there we go. Yes, cool, cool, cool. This is awesome. Okay, let me add string. Sweet.
Hey man,
Hey, how's it going?
going good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Today is such a wonderfully tense day. So this is like a moment of relief for me. Just sitting here nerding out with you. Ah,
Nice.
I've
I'm
been.
glad I could bring that into the day.
Oh, absolutely. You're definitely bringing this in. Thanks to that. How are things on your end?
Good. I had a bunch of meetings today, and I was just coding until now. So I'm happy to get something done, but also my brain is deep into the code. So I'm
Oh,
recalibrating back to talking.
exactly. Okay, so what are you working on right now then?
Right now, I was finishing up. So in Cachix, we're currently and in Nix in general, we're currently using XZ compression for when
Mhm.
you compress any kind of things that you push to a binary cache, and then get it back and decompress. And I'm adding ZSTD support, which will speed up the compression quite a lot.
Mhm.
Um, while not sacrificing the compression ratio too much, and it will make decompressing also quite a lot faster and more memory efficient and so on. So a lot of different projects switch from ZS to the Z standard. I think is the correct pronunciation. Uh,
Mhm.
and yeah, it's basically more or less done. I finished it today. I just need to test it and hopefully ship
Nice.
it tomorrow. Let's see.
Nice.
Um,
Sounds interesting. Okay. What's your toolbox looking like right now? Like all this stuff you're building for Cachix, what are you using to build this stuff?
um, so so it's first of all, like right now it's me and Sander. We're kind of two-person team, and
Mm-hmm.
we're our stack is Elm for the front end.
Cool.
And we can go deeper into whys of that. And there's things also I regret to choose, and things that I'm really proud of that I've chosen, and so on. But yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
front end is Elm, the back end is all Haskell, and it's all kind of glued together with Nix. And
Wow.
yeah, that's more or less it. So it's purely functional programming, basically.
Sweet, sweet,
Stack.
sweet. Yeah. I don't have the guts to do that yet. Like I've been flirting about it, but I think I still need to like increase some of my hacker experience points before I dive into like full FP backend and front end type of stuff.
Yeah, it's funny because Akashix was my first Haskell project, and well, Nix was my first purely functional language, and then Haskell was
Mhm.
the second, and Kashix was written as a kind of a 3 week hacking vacation thing. Um,
Oh,
and I just picked Haskell because Rust was really rusty, really really early days back then, 4 years ago.
yeah.
And Haskell seemed to be much more mature. Now it's questionable where things stand. Rust is definitely matured, but that
Hmm.
was the choice back in the four. Well, no, it's I think now it's 5 years, even if not more.
Jeez, that's a
It's
while
been a
ago.
while. It's been a while.
Yeah. Good. I think the first time I don't even know if you were working. Yeah, I think I remember there was a NixOS conference in London. That was like what, 3 years ago, 4 years ago,
Something like
where
this, yeah.
where I first heard a couple of things about Cachix. I recall vaguely.
hmm
Um, Yeah, time flies. Jeez, I don't even know that I also forgot that I was using Nixos for this long, actually. Yeah, funny. Yeah.
So it's been since that conference that you tried it, or was it
No,
before?
it's like I think I started like maybe a year or two before I went to that conference. By the time I went to that conference, I'd been in the NixOS rabbit hole for a while already.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I mean, like I think I'm still struggling often enough because I don't think I'm super fluent in the language, but I do love the perks of being able to reproduce my basically build my machine from just a declarative conf. So I've been doubling down and suffering the pain, and I think now it's getting a lot easier. So I think on the flight back last weekend, I had done like a massive system upgrade by basically flipping the switch on parts of my upgrade on my conf, basically doing some flex flake. I think there was Nix packages in my flakes I updated, so the entire machine was then basically bumped up. And then I did the same on my home configuration managed dot files. And then I spent like maybe a day after making sure that everything is okay because like some attributes have changed names and whatnot. But then after that, it's all working pretty nicely. And also my own fault, like I did some changes and I have some variations in how I built Emacs on my machine that kind of like broke some stuff. I had to fix that so my mail would work and all these other things. So um, yeah, and that tells me that maybe I'm still not proficient enough yet because I do every time I update, I do probably have to spend a couple of minutes here and there to make sure that everything still works seamlessly. It was worse in my Mac OS days, honestly. So I don't think I've lost anything.
No, but that's kind of okay. I think for me it was kind of the same. I did have to change a few things, and
Hmm.
like I know, like my audio I know broke. I am using Pipewire, and for some reason it just didn't work. So I just did the old school reboot of machine, which
Yeah,
uh, we tend not to recommend or want. But
yeah.
that's, I mean, probably if I just went and rebooted the whole audio setup, it would have been the same effect. But
Hmm.
I just started to start fresh. But yeah, I understand. That's okay. Like, um, I think how to say this. Like this is a never-ending game, right? There's
Oh,
no
tell me about it.
there's no credits at the end.
Oh no,
So
there aren't any. Yeah. So I think I have lost a couple of friends from NixOS to other operating systems for fair enough at the time. I think documentation was also pretty much a challenge. And at some point when you're in
mhm.
it, then you figure out how to navigate the system without docs because you're just reading source. But when you're coming into it fresh, then it's probably extremely demanding. Now I feel like it's really beautiful. We have search.nixos. You can just look for packages. It's that simple now. And I also saw this whole thing about Noogle being out right now, which
Mhm.
also makes things a lot nicer in terms of DX. So slowly but surely, things are really moving up. But I do have it once in a while that a friend is like trying it, thinks like, no, 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 this makes my brain hurt a little bit, and then they opt out for something that it's a bit more apt-get install friendly. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've been, a lot of my thoughts went into how to make it, more approachable and um yeah, like what is kind of like the minimal set of things you should know to kind of do something productive,
Hmm.
and what is kind of yeah, also on the language side. Like actually just recently I lost like an hour writing Nix because there's a weird operator precedence in Nix, and things were applied the wrong way. So basically, yeah, if you have an or, so an operate, so basically an or statement. So if you're accessing an attribute set,
Hmm.
you can say or, which means if that attribute is not there, then it will use the default or whatever you want
Sure.
to specify there. And then there you can say throw and something. So it turns out that the precedence is completely the wrong way. So the it takes over, and you have to put a parenthesis around throw.
Mm,
Otherwise, you're applying that to a function, and you get basically you're applying something to a function, and the error is also the wrong place.
hmm.
So it's like I just lost an hour, and I was thinking, oh man, like just we fixed many error messages in Nix actually, but there's still quite some left. So hopefully all of this will get fixed, and I think this will, you know, get a lot more people to be able to go through. Okay, it's wrong. It's okay to write wrong code
Sure.
as we all do, and I did the same. But the fact that the Nix doesn't give you a nice error message is just loses a lot of time for everyone really.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I get a little bit of a panic flash the moment I see like an error message because now I'm trying to decompose it, figure out where is the useful information there, and then am I really going to be able to fix it once I find it? So yeah, but I feel it's also just a little bit of a seniority thing, or I mean, like for you, like you said, you started Haskell just with this project, which is 5 years ago now, roundabouts. Like, what was kind of like the run up into that for you on like the theoretical side of things? What makes it so easy for you to wrap your mind around like FP-ness and all that jazz?
Um, yeah, so I guess this story is multifolded. So let's dive into each. Um, I don't know, like there's a I think a paper or even a talk about how Haskell makes a lot of programs impossible by kind of removing that kind of scenario from even happening.
Hmm.
Um, and like so I think it was twofold. One is that I understood that if you have a compiler and it does a lot of checks, it's basically making sure that certain programs should never run for a good reason. And that
Sure.
was kind of like coming from a Python background for me was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Rather to do it at a compile time rather than using the debugger and trying to inspect the state and going through all
Hmm.
that. Let's just machine do that part.
Hmm.
Um, that was one part that really clicked to me, especially before I was consulting and I worked on a code base of 1 million lines of Python where you just there was some bug in some code of someone that left the company 3 years ago and nobody touched it
Uh,
since, and you're just like reading that code and there's no security in that sense. You just have to kind of dive in and you don't know if it's going to work, and you know
exactly.
so it was hell. So I was thinking, man, is this really how we write software? Like this is just wrong.
Yeah.
So I was a huge fan of Python and I still am, but things started to a bit like click into my head. And now there's types in Python and things are moving there as well. Not
Hmm.
the same quality or whatever you want to call it as in Haskell, but so that was one part. Um, and the other one was that like I was kind of mentored by Chris McDonough from Python community, and he always said like, man, just use functions, like forget about objects, forget about inheritance. This is complex stuff.
Hmm.
um and like intuitively it felt like he's saying something sane, and I kind of just believed him. But
Yeah.
the more I did object-oriented programming, the more I understood that all those things tied together are hard to reason about. And when you have a function where it just says these are the parameters and this is what the function returns, just everything becomes much more easier, and you don't have to create this implicit state just because this is the paradigm that you want to use. I don't know, these things came together.
Okay, I hear you. So
Mm.
then it means that you started doing FP in what, in Python before you actually dove into Haskell. You didn't start like embracing FP ideas with your first Nix programs.
Yeah, I mean, I did it with Nix, but with Nix it was like it always felt like a small DSL, small thing that like
Yeah,
just solves. In my head, it was always like, oh, this solves packaging problems. That's it. It was not much greater than that
sure.
at the time, because I also didn't understand it in details and so on. Um, so yeah, then actually I did a bunch of experiments with functional programming in Python, and there is some libraries that you can use, and immutable data structures and all that. But it's
Hmm.
like, I don't know, it's like going to a culture and telling everyone that they're wrong and they should do it your way. And it's like, you know it
Yeah.
kind of reminds me when I came to Spain the first time, and I was working in this small village called Famara here, and there was
Hmm.
one coffee shop open in the whole village. I come at 9 and I sit, and like, the waiter is just reading the newspaper, make a coffee for himself, read the newspaper, eat a sandwich, and then at 10 he comes to me like, "Hey, do you want a coffee?" And I'm like, "Yeah," about an hour ago. And I'm telling this to and I'm telling this to my friend. I'm like, "Well, in Ljubljana, like, they will, like, if they don't come in 10 minutes, you leave, because you,
Hmm.
yeah." And he was like, "Well, this, I was quite young, and he just told me, 'Hey, man, like, this is the culture. You either accept it, but you won't change it. You either accept it or you go.'"
Yeah, true. Fair enough.
So
I hear
anyway,
you
that
there.
was kind of a clue for me, and then I understood, okay, if I want to do functional programming, I should use a functional language, because
Hmm.
that's where all the magic happens. Yeah.
I hear you. Okay, fair enough. And then we segue to Elm, because I mean, like, I've dabbled in Elm as well, and I think for the use case that you use it for, you probably don't have like a lot of front end magic going on, because you're showing
Mm-hmm.
lists. I think that's something you could do very well with Elm effectively. Um,
Mm-hmm.
how easy was it for you to basically embrace that? And did you run into struggles in implementing certain things? Because, like, I've looked at, like, I can't use all of these libraries that are out there as easily without kind of like doing some like mind bending magic there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
was that a different experience for you?
Mm, yeah, there's a couple of, I would say, rough edges around Elm, but overall it was really good experience. Um, what to really tackle here? Well, first of all, a lot of Haskellers don't like Elm because it's not Haskell, and to me, the answer is, well, it's not Haskell; it's a different language. So, you get a much simpler model. Um, and for me, that was kind of also interesting because, my idea was that at some point there's going to be someone working on the front end, and I want that to be a simple thing, so that
Hmm.
people don't bother about complex functional programming stuff, but rather focus on just doing the front end.
Sure.
So that was kind of the idea. And mm, what are the rough edges around Elm? Phew, well, I had to write Elm to Nix just to have Elm integrate with Nix. Well, that was the first one, but okay, that was a few days of work.
Hmm.
um, the integration of Elm with other libraries is through the sports, which is like, most of the time it's fine, but I don't know, for me, like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. Oftentimes things will break because it's just the JavaScript layer doesn't match the LM layer, and so on.
Hmm.
um, I'm not sure this is so much about Elm. I understand why Elm does it this way. There's a strict layer between the pure and the rest. Um, I even managed to integrate a React view actually into Elm, which was
Oh.
quite cool, because so in Cachix there's a deploy part where you have like a log widget,
Hmm.
and of course I could have written the log myself, but I was like, okay, maybe not,
Hmm.
because you want to make it performant and blah blah blah. So I figured just to use a widget that's written from React. So that took like half a day of pain, and it's not nowhere really documented how to do that properly.
Okay.
So of course, once I've done it, now I know how to do it, and I can just copy paste for other React components. But it's kind of a shame that this kind of integrations to Elm are not more like documented and community managed and things like that. Everybody has to have figure it out on their own.
Sure.
um, Probably there is a room for I don't know, some community managed side about this.
Yeah.
mm, I don't know, the rest is like, I guess the last thing for me is like organizing Elm, like file wise,
Hmm.
is a bit of a pain. um, we have like a page like a page data type that kind of describes which page you're on, and there is like a session, which is kind of like this data that is passed around to all the functions everywhere, which is kind of like
Mm,
the current user and stuff like
sure.
that. So I still think that Elm should, with the language design, provide maybe a bit more help around this, like how to do root management and all that stuff.
Okay.
So that's, I think, quite cumbersome. And then if some weird function somewhere that is like updating something wants to update the session, you need to kind of pass it back, and it's quite some boilerplate. But then on the other side, I'm okay with the boilerplate. It's not that bad. If it's type checked, it's not the end of the world.
Trade-offs. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's simple code, so it's not like something really complex. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's okay.
Okay. I should look into Elm to Nix then. Uh, Elm to Nix. Perfect. All right, cool. So then the current parts that you're working on, that's the Haskell part, because you're saying like in the back end, the compression. Do you have
Yeah,
like
yeah,
like
that's
a lib that you're using for that, or did you have to like basically port like or basically interact with some C implementation of XZ and then basically like loop it back into your program?
no. Luckily, there's for XZ and Z standard, there's like a Haskell library, which basically just calls the C implementation and provides
Okay.
a Haskell function for compress and decompress. So it's
Okay, cool.
it's just a simple FFI, and
Sure.
so yeah, luckily that was already done.
Okay.
Um, this is actually one weird thing about Haskell that has been quite annoying. When you when you write software and you need to integrate with different services, which today there's like probably millions of them, if not more. For common languages, you always have an SDK, but for Haskell, it's never there. So
Yeah.
I had to write like, I don't know, 6 SDKs at least in the last years, and I would have used many more services if the SDK for Haskell would exist.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not I mean, this is the price you pay of using the language that is not as mainstream, and okay, this is the price you pay.
Yeah.
But probably, I think there is a room for someone that would be like, I'm the SDK guy for Haskell, and like different company. Like for example, I want to use service. I don't know. Let's say I don't know some pay like Stripe, right? Okay, Stripe is already written, but let's say that it doesn't exist.
Sure.
I would, but it would be cool if somebody was like, okay, I'm gonna write a Stripe SDK once we fund this. I don't know, let's say for X amount of money, and then companies could come and kind of say, okay, I'm willing to contribute to that, and then at a certain point that there will be enough companies willing to do the SDK. So that would be an interesting thing to see someone kind of tackle in the. And Haskell
Mm-hmm.
is probably not the only language. There's the others probably have the same
Yeah, I
problem
can.
if it's not Python or something. Yeah.
Yeah, if it's not Python or JavaScript, then probably you're probably gonna have a bad time, or probably
Yes.
more of a bad time. Maybe Python, JavaScript, and the Java folks. The Java and the Scala folks get the benefit that whatever is written for the Java folks more or less works for them. Um,
Yeah. That's the nice thing about those Java under the hood stuff.
exactly. Also, the Clojure folks, indeed, they're like, "Yay, we got this all for free." Although I'm not so sure if they're always happy about the actual implementation of these things, but that's another point. Um, Cool. Like in terms of like these SDKs you had to write yourself, what was probably the more challenging one for you to write? Because I mean, at the end, they're all kind of like doing more or less the same thing, like basically making
Mm,
HTTP calls, or were there a couple of things where you had to interact with really interesting standards and do some funky stuff there?
Actually, they're all really boring. They're just HTTP wrappers, and
Mhm.
the challenging part is that you just know you're gonna spend a day or two working on this, and then if they change some stuff. I
Just
guess the most challenging is that in one of the payment stuff they changed some parameters which stopped working, and then I had to update that, and that would have been completely automatic. if I would be using, like an official one or maintained one, that
Yeah.
it wouldn't be me. But yeah, that's the. I don't know. For me, it's a bit strange. Like we have this Swagger and Open API tree and all this stuff, but none of these companies seem to be using that. And like you would imagine that this is something they would adopt, and then you can support almost any language out there as soon as
Sure.
as long as there's an API to that language, kind of client generation, which most languages have. So probably that API is not descriptive enough, but on the other hand, it would be really cool to have that. So I don't know. So it's just this work that you have to do over and over again. Yeah, that's it. This is
Oh,
how it
yeah.
is.
This is how it is indeed. Ah, okay, cool. But at least you're making progress, and it probably doesn't take you too much time to do these implementations, even if
No,
it's a
it's
bit
not too
different.
bad. It's
Yeah.
just a small price you have to pay for using Haskell, which is fine.
And
Um,
once you've implemented them, do you usually implement those SDKs inside of your app, or do you actually roll them as separate packages?
no, I release it as open source because,
Wait.
first of all, somebody might find it useful. Second of
Exactly.
all, somebody might contribute something that would help expand the package.
Hmm.
And I really like to keep my kind of like business logic as small as possible because, yeah, we're a team of two, so like we have to be quite conscious how many things we maintain, and there's a cost to each line of code that needs to be maintained and read and written and so on. So yeah,
Absolutely.
it's it's half selfish and half just, why not make it open source.
Cool. Alrighty. Sweet. Let's and see. Like maybe we can sneak into some code stuff then, because I have like some stuff that I'm struggling with right now as well. So I'm gonna like
Of
start
course.
poking a little bit, and then I'm also quite curious to see you do some work. Uh, so yeah. Do you want to
Okay.
share your screen? Does that work for you? Let's see if the mic check thingy.
Yeah, sure. So what would you like me to share exactly? Anything in particular?
The part that you're like trying to wrap up right now, I guess right there we probably could already see some of the XZ stuff.
Oh yeah. Let's try.
Cool. Let me also try to get my
Just
monitor.
check. Shares sharing screen with easiest with two monitors. Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, like it's always a little bit of a puzzle on my end as well. I think I have
Okay,
one of
let's.
my screens being shared right now. Oh yeah, this is the view we can take. um,
Do you see my screen?
oh yeah, I see it. So now I can add it to the stream. Dope.
Nice.
That's you.
Um. Yes. So I don't know if this is too much. But let me make it a bit bigger. Um. Yes, I've been. So right now there's. So right now the way it works is you can choose the compression mode on the server side actually in the UI. This is
Hmm.
this is pretty cool because what you can do, let's say you have different servers where you push Cachix from and so on. You don't need to update anything else than just Cachix, which hopefully gets just automatically updated. But then I am adding now a command line option as well. This is the
Okay.
one thing that I just started before this. Um, and somebody's calling me. Okay,
If you
let
need
me
to take
put.
some time out, just go for it.
No, it's all good. Nothing. I think it's spam. Anyway.
Ah.
um, yes, I've been kind of adding this this command line parameter as well, so that it can influence. So I think that, yeah, like my Haskell server language is not working right now, and I broke it some time ago.
Okay.
Still need to fix this, so I'm just compiling stuff manually here. So yes, it breaks because
Yeah.
there's a comma missing there. I watch. Let's try it like this. So yeah, this I think I added the flag, and now hopefully it will. Once I import everything correctly, it will just work. Um, and then I just need to wire it up so that it will be used.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see.
So for your for like Cachix in terms of architecture of what you're building, how many repos do you have for it? Of course, fair enough. If any of the things that I'm asking are stuff you're not comfortable talking about because that's company IP, let me know. Then I butt out, obviously. But I was just curious to know, like I see like this Cachix top folder. Is that a repo already, or is the client folder a separate repo where you're building this thing?
Yeah, so client is basically two folders. One is like kind of the API, which is kind of the HTTP specification and so on, and then the other repo is just the client, which is called Cachix. And then there's the mono repo of the backend, which is the
Okay,
server
so
part.
I
Mhm.
see. So I was wondering if they were kind of like bundled together, but you have them separated somehow. Okay,
Mhm.
cool,
Yeah,
cool.
they're separated. So let's see where I have this. Okay, compression mode needs to come from binary cache. Okay. Whew, we're having some interesting errors here.
It's always fireworks when that happens. Like I
Yeah.
think that the only extent of regular Haskell I write is my xmonad config. Um,
Oh, so
beyond,
you haven't done that much. Okay, I see.
no, no, I haven't. I've been following these Graham Hutton videos,
Mm-hmm.
and then I
Mm-hmm.
do them for a while, and then I stop because I don't have an active use case where I need to apply it. And then I forget some things, and then I come back to it. I'm like, I should have continued, or I just need to pick a project and build it in Haskell, and then I think I'm gonna like go through the growing pains. Um,
Yeah, it's. I mean, yeah, you have. Yeah, you start somewhere and you slowly. I did it using the haskellbook.com, which was really good
mm,
resource. After struggling for a while with. Oh yeah, I see what's happening here. That should have been an applicative here instead of. It's basically a copy paste error, I think.
uh,
No, that looks much better now. Um, yeah, so I mean, these kind of errors are always a bit hard to read because it's like, oh, I expected this function, but actually I want this one, but then it doesn't.
tell you what these things are.
It doesn't tell you, right? Mm, so usually the key is to look at this highlight, which is really nice. They added this, I think, a couple of GHC versions ago.
Hmm.
At least you kind of understand because before they didn't put the source there, and it was quite annoying.
Hmm.
So 119. Uh, yeah, okay. I forgot the parenthesis, which is usually if it says the function is not applied, then probably there's a weird parenthesis error going on. So I think that should get us closer. No instance for equality. Uh-huh. Right. So what's happening now is that I'm parsing the compression mode from the command line,
Hmm.
mm, but I expect it to construct the this type, which is compression mode, which is defined here. So it's either
Here. Okay.
XZ or ZS, this is the Z standard.
Hmm.
Um, so now I need to go from a string to basically
Yeah.
this thing. Um, and I think it here. So one thing I don't like is single character variable name. So let's change that to mode. Maybe
Hmm.
so yeah, like now what I need to do here, this is a string, and I think this needs to return that type. So if we say xz here, just to see if this will work. It's hard coded. Let's see what happens then. Oh, it wants to be adjusted, right? So I think what we need is red, maybe here. There's a function called read in Haskell that basically so there's show, which kind of prints this type to string and automatically to kind of generates this as a string, and read is kind of the inverse operation, which basically takes a string and it tries to construct this thing. But if you pass it, yeah, so these are kind of like the inverse. But because you can feed any arbitrary string to it, it needs to come into a maybe type.
So it can fail potentially. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So there's like a read maybe function which does exactly that. So now, and now it says it's ambiguous type, which means that it cannot infer the types. So I need to say what the types is. So I did mode text. It's
compression mode, I guess.
Yeah. I think it's this one. Let's see if that will work. Oh, validated mode like this. Let's see. Probably that's not correct, but we'll see very soon. Okay. Parser expected with maybe, actual without maybe.
Okay. Oh, but that would be an issue then. Or it's validated. You probably need a maybe there anyways. Or does read maybe?
Wait. That's weird because I'm returning a. Yeah, okay, that was actually correct. Okay, so now I need to figure out what the hell's going on here. Let's see what the actual error messages.
I think it's sometimes really nice to see how other people write things, because when I struggle with code, I often feel like I'm completely losing it. And then I see that other people are puzzling too. So that's just how it works, I guess.
Yeah.
Sometimes hard to forget when you see like other people's contributions and you're like, geez, how am I struggling with some?
Yeah, now we advanced. Yeah, so this runs in this read m mono, which I should have just, this is like knowing this is, there's like a library called applicative, applicative, how is it called exactly? I always forget. Anyway, opt-applicative parse or something. And it has this really, I never know the API, so I always need to look it up, and I wrote so many command line stuff in Haskell. So I just forget, so it has this readm. So now we managed to get a compiler, which is very good, because now what's happening here is that we have compression mode either defined by this module or by the options parser. So now I can here actually implement this logic that I wanted to implement.
Dope.
Actually, it should come here. So here we get the compression mode returned by the backend. And what we need to do is to say, if the command line specifies it, then actually that should override what we're getting from the backend. So I think here we say from maybe. Oh, wait. I think that's already too late. Push options. Yeah, that's already too late. Yeah, so now we have a problem where in here I'm determining what the backend is saying, but I need to also push what the options are saying. So Yeah. This is where it gets tricky. This is where it gets tricky. Oh, right. Push strategy. Right. Actually, it's all good. So I think we'll need to make it optional here. Just accept it as is, and then here we'll do maybe, and then in here we'll be able to check the. Okay, so in case this is like a function that takes a maybe, and if it's nothing, then it will use this, which is the default. So we will
Okay.
use as a default what the server is basically saying, but that should be overridden by compression mode option, which is set on the
Okay.
command line.
Gotcha.
And now, okay, and push options are here. Okay. So this one. So compression mode and then push options. I think that should be it. So now it will take either the command line and then fall back to what server returns, but it's not working because what else? Okay. Options parser. Let's see. Push options are here. Compression mode. It should be maybe. Okay, so that looks good. And then I see. Now this one is also a maybe. So this is why it's not this is why it's not happy.
Huh.
So now so what we need now is to say, okay, either take it from the command line and that should set it, or it's nothing, then default to the server. But if it's not the one from the server, then you need to just take a default. So we have kind of a chain of three maybes, and this is where
Ah,
this is
jeez.
where this is where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
So okay.
Is there like an easy way for you to model how information flows in this thing? Like right now, the only way to do this is kind of like build a mental model, it seems, by reading the code. Is there some other tooling to kind of like help you figure out like, oh, how all of these types flow through your app?
I don't know of any of that.
I had a Mhm. Oh, yeah, because I was thinking I had a call with Tudor from Lammer's Toolkit this morning, and it
Mhm.
was like an interesting take on how like some of the development work is kind of like writing or reading code, but most of it is about trying to understand parts of the system that maybe isn't best represented through text, like
Mhm.
diagrams potentially, or some other form of tooling, or the other views or perspectives that you can have on an artifact. For
Mhm.
you, it's probably primarily reading the code, I guess, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think like sometimes I would write like a design document, which is more like, you know, what what the code, what are the requirements for the code,
Sure.
either just functional or design, decisions.
Hmm.
But actually understanding the code, I don't know, like ideally you would push, a lot of a lot of the logic here is kind of pure, so you could push a lot of this stuff out
Hmm.
and make kind of like the gluing of this quite small if you wanted to go that far. But um I don't know, like the way I see Haskell often is like, it prevents me from me. So
Fair enough.
it's like good enough like this. And of course, there, you can always push it to be really nice code and all that. But like, I don't know, I often feel that until it gets quite complicated, there's no need. And then when it does, then you go and, you kind of like clean it up. This is kind of my approach. And I'm not saying this is the only way, but it's a kind of a trade-off between spending a lot of time making code really nice, which takes a lot of time, and this is kind of pushing it a bit towards the later.
I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it means that you thought very clearly about requirements, but like when it comes to like what abstractions to use inside of the application, you're probably more free to play and kind of clay mold it as you see fit until you converge on something that really works for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like to I like to. I mean, in the past when I was more junior, I would like try to think about all the edge cases and try to future proof it, because what will happen in the future and all
Yeah.
that. Now I try to focus more on what I currently know and what I currently know for sure and what I currently wanted to handle, and I
Sure.
come with a design for that. And then when new requirements come in, I change the design towards that.
Okay.
And of course, sometimes you're like, oh shit, I need to redesign it from scratch. And ideally, you would avoid those. But I think there's like unreasonable requirement that you can prevent these kind of things with better code or whatever.
Fair
Because
enough. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, it's always a struggle. I think what's the best way to do these things.
Yeah, I hear you. Especially when you're in time constraints and you just need to ship stuff and then you just like, yeah, keep it simple.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
and that's true. So now we need to. Now we need the monad basically, because you know, wait, I never know how. I never
The
know how to
syntax
do
and
this.
everything. Yeah.
How to do this thing? Wait. There you go.
Oh yeah, there we go. The thing. Jeez. Monad.
So okay, what am I doing wrong here? Okay, so what do we want? We have a chain of three maybes, right? But let's say nothing, nothing, and
Just
or
something.
let's say just three and then nothing. So what we want is, or let's say, just four. So what we want is the second one. Like we want the first one to win, and then the second one, and then the third. I mean, okay, the order can be flipped, but so if we take a look at the monad, right, it will fit it in. So what we want is here to have function to, right. So now we have nothing, and this fits it in, and it's just returns nothing. Wait, let me just think about this. Oh my god, it's been a while since I looked at this stuff. Just three. Right. So now if we say here just four, yeah, then it will actually return that. In the first case, it's returning nothing, and this is not even, yeah, this doesn't even happen.
Okay, now you're doing the third one.
I don't know. Have you done any monad stuff yet?
I've tried, let's put it that way. I've tried and failed miserably, died on that hill multiple times.
Right. So yeah, it's quite it's really abstract. So like in my mind, when I have to deal with like IO and all that stuff, it's very natural. But once I have some different data structures, like maybe I always have to go in and play a bit just to like refresh my memory for this kind of stuff. So yeah, as soon as you return nothing in here, well, it's just short circuited.
Okay, yeah.
Let me think what to do here, because what we really want is to basically pick the first just from the list. One weird thing you can do is like you can say you can give it a list. This is less monadic version, and you can say like just 3 nothing just 3, and then I think there's a function
I think
that
it's
will
msum or something like that from control.monad. I'm googling right now, so like I don't know what I'm talking about.
yeah, so let's see, control.monad. No, this is actually from data, maybe, I think. No, data list, or maybe one of the two.
Does it also have like something like a ems?
It will basically filter out.
Ah, okay. So okay. I see what you're saying.
I think it's from maybe. It will filter out cat maybes. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
I think it's cat maybe. Let's check. Right. I think it's this one. So cat maybes. Yeah, there you go. It's gonna
Okay.
and then we just get a first one.
Yeah. Head. Cool.
Yep. So let's try that. And I think from maybe, and then I think it's save head. I forgot in Pro to look which one it is. GC with packet. I don't have it in my history. Oh damn. Okay. Maybe it's just head. Let's try head. Then here we will say binary cache.exe as a default. And then head.
Yep.
And this will be the parser, which is the first one to take precedence, and then there's going to be the one from the command line. This one, sorry, from the server. Wow, I'm talking about it. Okay, so let's see if this works. I think I need a parenthesis somewhere. Yeah, probably here. Okay, so let's try that. That was a nice detour into chaining with monads. So I don't know if you want to go deeper into this, or if you want to do something else, you let me know.
Sure. I think this is good because I think we had like about an hour, and I think we spent a nice hour already kind of like diving into some fun monad related weights. So I don't think there's enough time to do something else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'm also kind of like enjoying watching your brain kind of like sort through this and just realizing, okay, this is just the exploration effort is kind of like universal because I see it with everyone, but I always kind of forget when I'm working on my own things and I'm frustrated or puzzling that this is part of the experience. Savor it, enjoy it. Cool. So now, cat babies. That's cool. think I lost you. Is that just my audio? Ah, okay. You seem to be talking, so I probably lost my head. What's up here? Disconnected. I think I'm falling back to my system audio.
Does it work now?
Mic check. Are we back?
Testing. Can you
This
hear
is
me?
often.
Can you hear me now?
Ah, yeah. Now I hear you again. Wow, cool. What
Yeah,
was
it
that? I
was
don't
on
know.
my side for some reason. This
Ah, okay.
microphone just unplugs. It's okay.
Okay. Ah, okay. I was just wondering, like sometimes these.
No, no,
Cool, cool,
no, all
cool.
good.
Yeah.
Nothing from it. Okay,
Oh,
so
like nice
yeah,
that you
that's
moved it
it.
out
That
from
now,
your.
now,
Yeah.
no, I just moved it out here.
Mhm.
Probably I could. It's really a mouthful right now.
Tell me
Um,
about it.
it's quite a line, but yeah, now it should pick up the command line parameter. Well, actually, we can just go and probably just check. Say print compression here. Oh, is print the one? I always forget which is the one that just runs show on the value. Let's see if that will work. I think, yeah, that will work. Okay. So we can try. We can try it out. So now I can say this Cachix push personal cache. Then let's say we want to push the store by. Now it's complaining that it's missing this option. Okay, so we need to make sure that it's not required, but let's see, specify
So,
exe part value exe. Interesting. So now we're back to this file. Validate to the mode. Okay. Oh yeah, I see. What's the problem? So because we're using read, it needs the capital letters.
oh, really?
Yeah, because it always just makes the thing capital. So
Mm.
so we need to make it capital when we are cannot parse value. Exe. This is really strange actually. Because the error says cannot parse value exe, which is weird, which means that it's actually this one failing. Okay, let's try. So now I need to figure out what is the to make it upper text. I always forget about this one. Data text to upper.
There you
Yeah,
go.
okay, that should be to upper. Not sure if that one is just available or I need to import it, but let's see.
So do you actually have a way of like inspecting without having to like rerun the application over and over again to just be able to say like, oh, I put a breakpoint somewhere. Have you actually tried that? does that work well enough?
Um, no, I don't think in Haskell you can really do that as far as you know. You cannot really go into the values and kind of play with them like you would do
Mm-hmm.
in a dynamic language. What you usually do is you kind of just create a REPL and you kind of pull in the data in the functions, and then you kind
Yeah.
of just go through that. So um, yeah, what I usually do is I would like the really dumb debugging is I would just print the inputs to the function, just to understand what was passed, and
Yeah.
then I would like craft them manually and like start playing and passing them in and all that stuff.
I see.
Um,
Yeah.
so now I need to import this text stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully they should compile. Let's see if this will work. But it's kind of strange that it's saying it's kind of strange that it doesn't accept null value. This is again this kind of parse value again.
Mm.
This is again this applicative stuff that I don't understand how it, sorry, this opt-parse applicative library that I
Mm-hmm.
never know how to use correctly.
I see.
So I always thought that if you don't specify the value, then it will just kind of assume there's no default and you can just go on. Maybe here the value should be probably the value. Probably it doesn't know. You have to say value is nothing, and they should probably make the default at least work. So let's try that. Mm, yeah, which makes sense. It doesn't just know what to do. You need to tell it that what is the default.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that seems to work. Let's see if we'll get it compiled. Yep. So let's try to run it without these parameters, and that should work again. XZ, yeah. See, now it's printed
Oh, yeah.
the default, which is good. Now we just need to make it work with the parameters. So XZ cannot parse value. Okay, that's at least an improvement.
So do you
Uh,
still need to do the uppercasing thing then?
that's the question, because now I'm not. So let's see. Um, It's a good question. Oh, we can just play, so we can just take REPL. So this is how you would debug this. You go to REPL and then you would kind of play around.
Yeah.
We need the second one. Now it's gonna compile the whole project and load everything. Now I can say import. So it's forget Cachix times primary cache. Now if I say read, maybe let's say XZ, maybe compression mode. Oh, it's the project loop. Yeah, that will not be happy because of strings, but maybe I can just set this. Yeah, so that will parse correctly, and if I say XZ, it will not work. Okay,
Okay. Enough.
so that part works.
Yeah.
So I think this happens actually somewhere sooner. Validate. Unless mode is an element of these two, then it should return this error. But it's already failing somewhere else. Where is this defined here? It's so strange.
What's the name of the lib you said again? Something option?
Sparse applicative, I think it's called.
Okay.
ZST digits for fun. Oh, maybe there's another M option. This is what sometimes happens.
Oh, snap. Okay. Shouldn't the compiler complain when this happens?
Yeah, unfortunately, it does not. I've been bitten by this before. Okay, but in this case, that's not the issue.
Look like it, right? Yeah.
No, it doesn't look like it. There's W, there's J, M, C. So I was bitten by this before, where there would be two of the same name, and it just doesn't complain about it. Which is really bad, but okay, this. So. Question mode. I think what's wrong is this validated mode. It's probably just not doing the right thing.
Where does that come from? Because I'm looking through the validated mode.
I think this is
some helper you define or something.
Yeah, this is like a function you can write how to convert the mode, and it's like using auto, which is kind of like this function you get from the library, and then you can pass it to forward to kind of construct this value, right? So in this case,
okay, yeah, that's.
Just trying to. What happens if we just remove this bit here? I wonder. Add bill. Okay, so that's probably the last bit missing for this one to work. It's not happy, of course. Yeah, because now it wants. It wants us to return this. If that fixes it. So that fixes this, but now I expect this will not change anything, but let's try. Yeah, it doesn't parse. Okay, so this bit doesn't even get. So yeah, I'm not. I think I'm not sure if this function is able to correctly convert this value. This is where it gets tricky. So what I need to Google is how does the optimize applicative allow you to go from some string that you pass on the command line to like converting it into. Let's check. Optimize applicative tutorial. So yeah, that's the other part of this library. It's quite a
niche type of thing.
Yeah, it's not well documented in my opinion. Okay, let's go to the official docs. which are quite confusing to me, but okay. Option leaders. Okay. Customizing command groups. Our interface. No, that's not it. Modifiers. Custom parsing. No. Commands. Oh, I think options. There we go.
Regular options.
This is. Mhm.
What's the...
Yeah, so this auto, a common reader. Yeah, so that's. Yeah, so if that's what I've been missing. If you use an auto, it basically uses a read instance and to return its type. So we basically don't need to do this. So basically, if I understand this correctly, what we should be doing is that we don't need any of this in the first place. Let's try. So where is this stuff? It should just work. No, it's down. I was get confused. It's okay. Let's try to remove this. The error message would be not the best, but at least this should work. Maybe here, let's make for more human readable. Okay. So yeah, this auto thing here will actually use the read class type class as it's called, to convert string into whatever type that you want, as long as the type implements the read functions.
Yeah.
So I think this should now just work. No, doesn't work.
Weird.
Parse value std. Oh.
Yeah, I wouldn't think you need to do that, or do you maybe have to remove the spaces between it, that dash M Z right after? Or am I just misreading?
Oh, could be, or I need an equal sign here. Oh, but that doesn't work.
Okay, that doesn't work.
Compression mode. Not parse value exe.
Huh.
Yeah, it doesn't give
What?
any information at
Yeah.
all.
Short. Well, what if you try it again with XZ common instead of capitalized? That's just maybe a stupid thing to try, but I was just curious to see if it's just gonna.
You mean like this? With
Yeah.
small?
Yeah. Okay.
That also
No, doesn't change anything. Weird.
Okay, maybe this validated mode needs to come before auto. Then we do the auto, which then means well, we don't need the auto anyway here. We can just use this one then. Let's see. If we just use this one, then yeah, then this should work. Let's try to compile this. So I think that auto stuff is what's screwing up the whole thing, and we just don't want to use that one. But this will probably not compile. Read. Oh, right, because this one will extract a text or whatever we want.
unless mode element XC or S standard.
Or maybe here should be a maybe. It should have default implementation of just return. Let's try it like this. Yeah, this is always a bit tricky to get right. So as you can see,
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh yeah, now it's
Yeah.
complaining. Okay, so this should be just.
Yeah.
Okay, getting somewhere. Read M with the actual type. Yeah. Oh, now we need to add back the auto thing here. Yes. Okay. Now, if my idea is correct, this should compile. Okay. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're kind of. Nah, this is a bit dull. What it's doing now, it's just creating a. Let's see. Still doesn't work. Oh my god. Okay.
So weird.
I think I'll probably need to read up on this reader, more information about the reader. Okay. Where are the readers? Yeah, either reader. Yeah, so this is what I mean. Like the interface is quite cumbersome. Okay, let's check.
Right.
Let's check what is the type signature of that reader of auto function. There you go.
Oh geez, this is all pretty.
Yeah, so it's in the reader monad. It will return anything that implements a read type class, and that's it.
Sure.
So if I'm which is really weird to me, that I'm not sure how the read is implemented for the maybe type actually. So if we say read, and we say maybe yeah. Parse. There you go.
Okay.
Okay. Now I'm getting a bit lost myself. So okay, so it cannot read that too. So what we can do is say like int, so there's a tree. Okay. What do we say? Maybe. Yeah, it doesn't know how to parse this with a maybe.
Goodness. Oh good. Oh geez, time is flying. I have to run for dinner right now with parts of my team. So
That's all good.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like I'm actually quite curious to know that if I were to hop out, if this whole thing would cancel, because I have absolutely no experience with just walking out of a stream like this. Or I think maybe you
Let's.
should just wrap it up and then do another co-working sesh next time where you're writing your own stuff, and then I maybe do some active coding of my own. Um, but this was already really fun because now I got a glimpse to see how you actually think while you're writing Haskell, and I got to see like the type of stuff that probably has been freaking me out enough to stop trying to write Haskell and not come back to it again. But now I'm seeing like, oh, this is kind of like the DX a little bit. So just deal with it. You get a lot of these things for free, but you got to work for it. So I think that's
Yeah,
like my
exactly.
takeaway today. Like it's like, okay, the person that can write Haskell pretty well, orders of magnitude better than I can, goes through a comparable experience sometimes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, especially with libraries like this, it's
Hmm.
often for me like a bit of struggling of how is that interface exposed and are you
Yeah.
supposed to like interface it, and that's pretty normal stuff.
Of course, yeah. I think it's really also important to know because I see a lot of these personalities, and then I talk to them, and then I realize like even all the galaxy brain types, they sometimes puzzle with things, and then they think like regular people, and then I just like to like romanticize a lot of that, and almost forgets that these folks are puzzling around as well. So it puts things in perspective. Next time I'm struggling with either Nix or Haskell, I'll remember like a Domen is actually doing a lot of these cool things and probably just takes the pain and then makes it work. Yeah. So that's what I should do the next time. Take the pain, make it work. Forget about it.
Exactly. I think that's a
Yeah,
good takeaway.
absolutely. Uh, Thank you so much for joining me here for this hour. I think I'm walking away with extremely good mood. Um, and then I go to the dinner, and then I come back and probably gonna try some coding struggles of my own. And maybe I'm gonna try to do this Advent of Code thing Haskell style once as a true challenge to myself to really get into
Nice.
it. Or write an
Yeah.
actual util in Haskell. Maybe that's a better way to do it. Something I really need.
Something small. I think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah. When you said the whole thing about SDKs, I was like, huh, maybe picking like an SDK style project that's nicely scoped. It's not a big thing. You probably get a good
Hmm.
exposure to like how to do I/O. You probably get a lot of access to a lot of the mechanics already. And if you can do that, that's probably a nice uh, small size thing I can chip off that I can actually finish in a couple of weeks. I'm pretty sure. So now I even
Let me
have
know
some
how it
ideas.
goes.
Yeah,
Let me
I'll
know how
keep you
it
posted
goes.
for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, thanks for this. I wish you a wonderful rest of the day. You clearly still have plenty of day left on your end. In
Yeah,
Berlin, it's already wrapped up. So,
1 hour left.
oh, well, yeah, exactly. Okay, so enjoy the faggot of daylight, though. This is great. It's so dark out here, and it's super cold. So I'm definitely not looking forward to the cold. But yeah, I got a lot to think about. Thanks,
I
Domin.
hope the dinner will be good.
I'm pretty sure it will be good. I'm probably gonna be telling my colleagues a lot about, oh, so this is what I saw today. They're gonna be like, David, stuff about this FB stuff because I've been bugging people with FB stuff recently. It's a never-ending story with me.
Well, I've done the same for years, so it's
Mhm.
okay. I understand.
Yeah, be careful what you say when I now know like Doman gave me the license to just not give a crap. I'm really gonna do it.
Well, just to time it right after dinner.
Exactly. Okay, that's a wise one. I'll do that. I'll keep it all in until the end of dinner. Yeah.
All right, man. So
Cool.
nice to talk to you.
Same
Uh,
here. Thanks for
bon
taking the
appetit,
time again.
and
Yeah. Thank you so much, and have a lovely rest of the day out there. And let me know
likewise.
like DMs or whatever when you actually wrapped it up because I would really love to see what the fix is. Now I'm curious.
Me too. Now I'm like, oh, I want to fix this before my dinner as well.
Oh, fingers crossed. You go for it.
All right, man. Nice talking to you. Thank you so much
Likewise.
for inviting me.
And of course, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye bye. Ciao. Yes, folks, that's a wrap. Going to get some food. Sorry, Patricia, Stefano, Percy, coming your way.